This is Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 13, text 5. And because I didn't have English Bhagavad Gita, I read from the phone, and therefore I didn't record. So before listening to this recorded lecture, please read chapter 13 of the Bhagavad Gita, text 5, and then listen, if you will listen to this class. So here we see in this 13th chapter there is that title is Nature, Enjoyer and Consciousness, and there is description of Kshetra and Kshetragya, the field and the knower of the field, and also of the supreme knower. So there is these three topics described also in this purport by Srila Prabhupada, and his purports are based on the commentaries of Acharyas. And of course, his teachings are based on the commentaries of Acharyas. He will sometimes give some of his realizations. Sometimes he will quote from the scriptures, and we have a reference. And sometimes he will not. There will be no reference, but we will recognize by the content of what is in the purport that this is also from some verse, from the Shastra, from the Bhagavatam, from the Upanishads, that we have heard before, and we have seen the reference, so we know, this is the same thing. It's just they didn't give a reference. And many things are like this, that they're directly from the commentaries of Acharyas. But of course, Srila Prabhupada gives his own realizations and some modern examples. And Srila Prabhupada would quote Paradise Lost by Milton. He would quote a lot Chanakya Pandit, whom he considered to be a politician. Then he would mention different mundane people, just to give an example about a certain principle. But of course we know that most of his teaching is based on the commentaries of Acharyas. And what impressed me so much when I first had Prabhupada's books in my hands, although I was living in Serbia, I actually had the fortune to get this Bhagavatam like this. One my friend went to the book fair in Belgrade and brought it to my hometown, and I got this first class edition of Bhagavatam, which is such a beautiful cover and amazing Sanskrit and transliteration, synonyms, translation and purports. And immediately I felt this is so authoritative, this is so amazing. I mean, I have never seen books like this. The way devotees design these books is already very impressive and immediately increases the trust of a reader. Just the format, what to speak of the content. And we see that the Bhagavad Gita is like this, Ishopanishad is like this, so Chaitanya Charitamrita is like this. Krishna book is presented in a different way, and the Nectar of Devotion as summary studies they are presented. So but of course they are also full of quotes from the Bhagavatam and from other scriptures. And this quoting is very powerful when you quote previous acharyas, previous authorities. And when you see that different authorities are quoted, and that whatever they say is very, very much full of meaning, very deep, then you see that this is actually a disciplic succession. This is something that you have like saints and sages throughout the ages who have carried a message that is fundamentally the same, but it has its shades and shapes and varieties according to time, place and circumstance, but the basic principles are the same. So we see that if we read the scriptures, everything is scientifically presented as to cause and effect, as to logic and reason, which we need. Most of people will not accept blindly things, and Shastra also is not encouraging us to accept things blindly, but that we should think before we accept something, how much it makes sense. And especially when we try to apply it, then we see in practice if something works or not. I have had devotees coming to me and saying, I'm trying, I'm practicing, it doesn't work for me. So then I say, so it works for everybody else, it doesn't work everybody else, and it doesn't work for you. How come? How is it possible? So let's see if you are doing something wrong, maybe making some offenses, maybe you don't understand something, maybe your attitude is maybe arrogant or offensive, or you are very rebellious. Attitude in understanding the Vedic literature is very important also. The first item described in this 13th chapter, later, we will go to the verse 8 to 12, the first item of knowledge is amanitvam. And amanitvam means humility. So if one is not humble, one doesn't have a proper attitude, one doesn't have faith, then how he can understand the Vedic knowledge, or how he can practice, or how his practice will brought some fruit. This is not possible. There has to be some preliminary qualification for receiving knowledge and for applying knowledge and for having realizations. And realizations also come by the mercy of God. So in one sense, we have to show seriousness to God so that He can reveal to us different things. It is said, Yasya deve parabhaktir, yata deve tata gurau, tasyaite kathita hyarta, prakasha te mahatmanaha. Only to those great souls who have implicit faith in Krishna and the spiritual master are the secrets of the Vedic literature revealed. And this faith is not blind, it's based on understanding knowledge and of some application of knowledge. Srila Prabhupada has also, for example, people challenge. They challenge us, they challenge our philosophy. And Srila Prabhupada has explained everything very reasonable. When I did an interview for the Bhaktivedanta Manor many years ago, in 1999 or 2000, to do service, they asked me, why are you in Krishna consciousness? This is one of the questions. So why you are here? What really attracted you? What really attracted you? What impressed you? And I said, Prabhupada's unbeatable logic. Prabhupada's unbeatable reasoning and logic. It's just who can argue with him? Prabhupada says, invite everyone. We can challenge anyone. Sometimes he gets very fired up and angry. He said, we kick them with the boot. Especially Mayavadis, demoniac people. So, for example, people say, can you show me God? They challenge. And he challenges back. But do you have the eyes to see God? Do you have qualification to see God? Can you see President Nixon when you want? Okay. You have to actually go through so many people to come to President Nixon, and you want to see God, the Supreme Person, the Supreme President. So immediately, people who are demoniac, no argument will satisfy them. Who are Mayavadis, no argument will satisfy them. But this is not for them. Although he is talking to them, actually this argument is for people who are sincere, for people who are pious, for people who are God-fearing, for people who have some faith in God and who have sincerity. For them, these arguments make sense. Oh yeah, we have to qualify to see God. So even to accept this argument, you need to be a little bit a good person, and a little bit, like pious, have some credits, maybe Agyata Sukriti. It is said in the Bhagavatam, those who eat meat cannot understand Krishna consciousness, cannot understand Bhagavatam. I mean, we are all the time trying to give this knowledge to people who eat meat. We give them prasada, we give them holy name. But some of them are eating meat due to circumstances, due to bad karma, also due to their desires, but they are maybe ready. Some of them are ready to start, some of them are ready to give up meat. And to follow something that they believe is beneficial. So it's amazing how Srila Prabhupada developed faith in us, Westerners, who are, most of us are more or less atheistic, or if we are not atheistic, then this faith is very shaky. It doesn't have grounds in transcendental knowledge. It's maybe sentimental faith because my parents were religious. And but he said something that he was laughing. He said, "I'm a small old Indian man, but these big American learned people are bowing down before me." So he would laugh sometimes. And he told his disciples, "I cheated you all. I cheated you all to accept Krishna." So we like to be cheated by Srila Prabhupada even more. And there is an ocean of Vani in his teachings, and therefore we have websites like Vedabase, Vanipedia, like Vishnamurti Prabhu, my dear friend. He's dedicated to creating a platform for Srila Prabhupada to preach online in many, many systematic and amazing ways. And we have, for example, we have Nectar Drops. It's 1 minute audio and transcript, like little paragraph sections or parts from Prabhupada's lectures, Nectar Drops, where Prabhupada makes a certain point. So even if one have only 1 minute a day, they can click on this and listen to Prabhupada and connect with the Vedic knowledge and with Krishna. And there is categories, there is 14,400 categories. That means basically on any topic you can get a category and you can get a lot of quotes there. I recently met him and he said, "We have finally figured out Krishna in Vanipedia." What does that mean? They have the category called Krishna, and they have collected all the quotes on Krishna in Prabhupada's teachings. Prabhupada's teaching means books, lectures, letters, and conversations. But then he said to me, "But Prabhupada spoke more about God than about Krishna. So now they are working on a category called God. And this will be a larger category." They have completed, I think, Radharani, also, Lord Chaitanya. So all the main personalities in our teachings. And if you go to Vanipedia, you can click on the link which says what's in Vanipedia now, and then you will see what devotees have done over the past 11 years and what they have compiled there. What they have compiled. So he himself and his wife are dedicated, Lakshmi Priya Mataji, dedicated to building this website. And they work, I think, about 10 hours a day. We work very hard to support Vanipedia and to support devotees who are helping with Vanipedia. And also there is 1,080 videos with subtitles in different languages, and many languages have been completed, these 1,080 videos. They give the overview of Krishna consciousness. It can be for introductory, it can be for devotees, but it's a wonderful selection of quotes from the classes which give wonderful overview of Krishna consciousness. So anybody who wants to listen to Prabhupada, doesn't understand English or doesn't understand Prabhupada's English with his accent, they can click on settings and turn on the subtitles in their language. And I know some languages are completed, like Italian, Spanish, Croatian. Serbian is like 400, so there is 600 more.
Great.
Croatian. Then I think there is Persian, Russian also. So you have a good number of languages completed, but they want to. I mean, he would like to do everything in all languages, but I think he will need a couple of lifetimes to do that. I don't think it will be possible in one lifetime because it's so much work, and that he doesn't have so many people helping in so many countries. But many devotees. I think about 500-600 devotees have been engaged over the past 11 years. So why I'm saying all this is that this is one platform where people can actually associate with Srila Prabhupada and learn the Vedic knowledge and learn the Vani, learn the instructions. And There are some stories. I remember one story that he told me, that someone was looking to learn about the case system, so some student for their course, and they have a teacher of Indology who was teaching them about the case system, and somehow they came across Vanipedia and they came across Varnashram. Somehow this word case was also in some texts where Srila Prabhupada speaks about Varnashram, and slowly they actually discovered what is actually a case system and Varnashram, and this student printed out from Vanipedia several pages, brought it to their professor, he read it and he said, for 20 years I'm teaching the wrong thing. Now I understand what is a case system. He's an expert, he's a professor of Indology, so Vanipedia goes beyond internet. If somebody prints out and brings it there. So I think he has more like stories like this, and there is, on Vanipedia you can see testimonials of many, many very advanced devotees who appreciate Vanipedia very much. The vision that Vishnumurti Prabhu has is really, really amazing. I interviewed him for 30 hours. I made an interview with him, recorded, and then somebody transcribed it, and this is available on dandavas.com and also on my blog. This interview transcript, I edited it also to look nicer. But the way he explains it is very, very clear and very, very visionary, very powerful, very systematic. It's so much dedicated to creating a platform for Srila Prabhupada to preach. And one thing about him, I have never met, I don't meet so many devotees, but I have never met anyone who loves Srila Prabhupada so much as he. He just likes Srila Prabhupada. I'm sorry, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't know how much any of Prabhupada's disciples love Srila Prabhupada, but Vishnupurti Prabhu, he has not been initiated by Prabhupada, he came later, but he really loves Srila Prabhupada and likes Srila Prabhupada. And he told me how he started. He was always compiling. I didn't even plan to speak about this, but somehow anyway, Krishna is guiding. So, he was always compiling quotes of Prabhupada, but in the beginning he had a notebook and then he would print out something, cut it out and put it, like this with glue. It's very old-fashioned, very, very old-fashioned style. But he had a book of quotes on certain topics, thematic, and it was like maybe first Vanipedia. It was a notebook, old notebook. But then later, as Wikipedia appeared, Wikipedia is online encyclopedia, it has a platform that you can use for free. And then the reason why you can easily search Vanipedia on Google is because it's on the Wikipedia platform, as far as I understand. It's on the Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is very, very Google friendly. Wikipedia is Google friendly. I mean, Wikipedia is, if you search for anything, first hit you get is Wikipedia usually, if you search for anything, because it's so prominent on the internet. Now, some devotees think that this design is not good and this is not the best for this kind of encyclopedia. Some devotees who are into IT, then I ask them, but why don't you then join and help and make it better? And then they say, oh, I don't have time. So I said, then shut up, don't complain. But I think whoever looks a little bit into it, they cannot be but amazed. And there is so much there that it's worth it learning how to surf it. And I myself am dedicated to showing any individual who wants to learn how to do it. And now they have made even better search. You can have a search, you can get categories very easily. I complained about the search before, and other devotees also, and they have really improved it. They created new program, new software, new program. One devotee from Amsterdam made it, and now it's amazing. It's much better. And there is Prabhupada's photos, there is Prabhupada's all audio, unedited audio, there is, because also he was working with Bhaktivedanta archives, so he knows everything about all Prabhupada's, whatever is there from Prabhupada that is left, he knows where it is and how to get it. And when new things appear, I think he also knows, and he wants to include it in Manipedia. There is all audio, all books, there is old editions of books, 72, 86, there is, you can compare if you like old editions, because devotees complain about book changes, but Manipedia doesn't care about this, it just gives you everything. Then you have all the lectures, transcriptions of lectures, and they're discovering more new when devotees bring in some tapes that they have. Then all the conversations, all the letters, they have scans of all the letters. There is probably 20,000 photos of Prabhupada. And then this presentation of Prabhupada's quotes, Vani quotes, many various ways, thematic mapping, categories, different topics, different themes, essential subjects, many ways of systematically presenting Srila Prabhupada's teaching. It's all about Srila Prabhupada. There is no other people's teachings. There is no biographies of Srila Prabhupada and memories written by others there. At least for now, it's not there. But it's all Prabhupada. And there is so much. And it seems that again and again they are finding something new. New photos, new lectures, new recordings, and they are publishing it. Also, Bhaktivedanta Archives is so dedicated to this, like Ekanath Prabhu, they are so dedicated to also he's updating the database every now and then, and update is free. If you have bought it once, there is the database 2003, and then if you can always upgrade it for free. They give you an upgrade. That means more books, more transcriptions of Prabhupada's teachings, more books from devotees. They add books. So these devotees are doing such an amazing service. I think Krishna is so pleased with them because they are promoting Srila Prabhupada's teachings. They are Sankirtan devotees. I mean, he used to be a Sankirtan devotee, Vishnumurti Prabhu. I don't know about Ekanath Prabhu. And he used to be very good. He used to be a Sankirtan leader, and he was a president in France in one temple or far. I don't remember. So, responsible, very responsible devotees. And so now many devotees don't know how it works, how to search, but some of them use it, some of them have figured it out. They have maybe a little bit technical intelligence, or better technical intelligence. But whenever I have an opportunity, I teach devotees how to use it, and then they start using it and they can benefit from it. It's online, it's always there. If you have internet, you have access to Manipedia. So by studying Srila Prabhupada's teachings, we can learn so much. In my working with devotees individually, assisting them in their progress, I say that ideal Gita coaching is if you come to me and you say, I have a problem or I have a goal, my first reaction is, let's look at what Prabhupada said about it. Then we can create your whole program, your whole progress based on this. That is the best, the highest way to coach. And what does it mean? It means I'm not actually a coach, I'm assisting you to be coached by Prabhupada. So that's topmost way to coach people. Because Prabhupada is the main trainer, the main coach, the main educator, the main teacher. Prabhupada is the best success teacher in the universe. He is the best self-help teacher or help teacher. He's just Prabhupada was such a motivator. He motivated so many people. He was also a marketing expert. Prabhupada is so good in marketing. One day I will make a presentation or an ebook, how Prabhupada promoted things, how he promoted Food for Life, how he promoted his books, how he inspired people to help, how he promoted his teachings, how he created a movement. he was good at marketing. Before also he was a businessman. He was a pharmacist, and he knew also about business. And when you look at his practical instructions to devotees who were managing something for restaurants and temples, I think these are amazing instructions, management instructions. There is this, some devotees know, maybe older devotees know more about it because there were courses in ISKCON on 7 habits of highly effective people. And some of the experts from that company read Prabhupada Lilamrita and they said Prabhupada followed all the 7 habits. Be proactive, begin with the end in mind, put first things first, think win-win, seek first to understand, then to be understood, etc., etc. So they glorified him. I have these texts. You can read them if you like. I have got them. Sridhar Swami, he actually got these people to read Prabhupada's books. And they also got Prabhupada's Gita. They got Prabhupada Lilamrita. And so we can spend our whole life, and some devotees, some Prabhupada's disciples like Shrutakirti Prabhu, Harisauri Prabhu, they're dedicating their whole life just talking about Prabhupada. So, I mean, there is so much to speak about. There is so much to speak about. So, Srila Prabhupada is an unending source of inspiration. But also, he's not a sentimental, religious preacher or fanatical religious preacher. He's very scientific. There's so many arguments. Prabhupada says, read our books. If you don't like to read, chant, take prasadam. There is something for everyone, for masses and for classes. And we are so fortunate. And now, as we aspire to be representatives of Srila Prabhupada and his teachings, we have to learn what he was teaching. Otherwise, we will not have arguments with some smart Mayavadi or demon comes and asks us a couple of crisscross questions. We will be confused. Oh, okay, I don't know, like this, and they see, these people don't have arguments. But if we know Prabhupada's books, we know Prabhupada's not only books but conversations, letters, lectures. He was actually in Vanipedia. You have a category. Questions asked of Srila Prabhupada. All kinds of questions. Then you have questions asked by Srila Prabhupada. He was also pose a question and answer it. So you can see how Prabhupada answered different questions. Then there is philosophical discussions, spiritual, dialectic spiritualism, where devotees pose different philosophical concepts from mundane philosophers, and Srila Prabhupada would explain them from this Krishna conscious point of view. He would support if they had some good points, but he would also defeat their weak points. So this is also very useful for preaching. And Prabhupada said, my books are not only for selling, they're for reading, for you to learn, to study, to know arguments, for your own mind and for other people. And one regret that I have about my life and about devotees' life is that we don't take advantage of Lord's mercy in the form of transcendental knowledge enough. We are trying to take a lot of advantage, which is mentioned here. We want to realize God in the form of food, very much. This is why we admire and adore our cooks, because our cooks are actually keeping some of us still in ISKCON, in Krishna consciousness, because they cook such an amazing prasadam. So, a few days ago, down in front of the kitchen, there was somebody brought out the fresh meal, dinner, and some of us jumped to take it. And then I said, first we have to go to the kitchen and thank the cooks. Because, they did this offering of love to Krishna. They did this offering, and we should not just try to take advantage of it, but we should thank them and be grateful first for this. So, to conclude this class, I want to say that I feel we are so fortunate and that there is an ocean of knowledge to explore, to read, and to apply. I just want to say the last thing. I have met devotees that had to read something else to realize the value of certain things in Krishna consciousness. I had this experience myself. I had to learn a little bit more, in more detail, from the experts on, for example, how to build trust, that I understand that Prabhupada has already given us this. He has given us this already. And if you understand the value, if something helps you to understand the value of Prabhupada's teachings and something that you didn't see so clearly, then you can take it from Prabhupada's teachings and use it for Prabhupada's teachings. For example, there is one in Bhagavad Gita 17:16. There is description of the austerity of the mind. And the first item that is described is Mana Prasada Somyatvam. Satisfaction is the first austerity of the mind. So how, I don't know how satisfaction is austerity, but actually I think in Kali Yuga it's very hard to keep the mind satisfied, because the mind is always frustrated. People are always disturbed. So to keep the mind satisfied, basically to preach to yourself, be grateful, be satisfied, it's maybe austerity to do that. And so sometimes devotees learn, how to be positive, how to be satisfied, but it's already there. It's already there in Prabhupada's teachings. So I like to really research and find things like this, which are actually very practical. And the more you know, the more you can give to devotees when they come to you with their problems. The more you know where to find things that will help. So one game we can play, or not game, but a service we can do is that, okay, I have to have ready all the tools and solutions for all kinds of problems of all kinds of devotees. And maybe you can make also a software that if somebody has a problem, you already have like thousands of tools from Prabhupada's books. And then we can choose what they can use. So that's one way to, use the modern technology to support devotees. Because with the modern technology, search is very fast. So thank you very much for listening. It's almost 8 o'clock. We can maybe have one question or a comment. Thank you for coming here. Everybody disappeared. At 7 o'clock is Prasadam, so it's very hard to stay at the class. But you are not hungry.
One question.
Uh-huh.
So many devotees talk about this time and spoke when Srila Prabhupada is this time now is here. Maybe is different preaching doing. What do you think about it?
If he would be here, there would be a different preaching.
Yes, for no 16, 17, now 2020. A different topic and different preaching. No, basic is basic, but else.
Srila Prabhupada did teach us about the principle of Desha Kala Patra, time, place and circumstances, or time, place and persons involved. He did say that, so he was ready to adjust to different conditions, but I don't think he would change the basics of his teachings, and he would not change the stories from the Bhagavatam. He would not use other book. He would still present the Bhagavatam, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, all of his books. I think he would all keep this, and I don't think it would be much different. But we need to be intelligent how to present to people, to help them to understand based on the modern situation, modern terminology. We help them to understand Prabhupada's teachings, Prabhupada's books. I know some devotees want to change some things and things like this, but I'm not into it. I don't. There is so much arguing about changing books and editing books, and some devotees are not against editing. For me, they are the most reasonable ones. They are not against editing, but they say that there should be a note. What is changed and why from the original. Now, some devotees say the original is actually not original because the editors spoiled it. The old editor spoiled it. But we have Govinda Dasi Mataji, who said she was present when Prabhupada went together with Hayagriva through the 72 version of the Bhagavad Gita, through the whole Gita. And then some of them still found some mistakes, some like, I don't know, grammatical or something. After that, so if Prabhupada went through some books, then that is the last version of the Acharya, they should be changed. If you want to edit something, then you have to make a note there so that people know. And I think I like this, that in Vanipedia you can access these old editions. Also in database you have old editions of most of the books, maybe not all, but most of the books. And I mean, I asked Bhaktivedanta Archives for the scan of the manuscript of Light of the Bhagavad, because I like this book so much. And you can see the typed, Prabhupada, how he typed Light of the Bhagavad and how they edited. They sent me this. Unfortunately, I don't have it anymore, but I can ask Eknath Prabhu, maybe he will send me. So you can look at Prabhupada's original typing, and you can see, you can read it. Time, place, and circumstance is an art. How to adjust, and this, I think, you learn this by practice, and sometimes by trial and error, by mistakes. Because sometimes you think you can present more directly, but it's not good. Sometimes you are too soft, you are too watered down, and it's not good. So there has to be a balance, and one should be intelligent how to present things to different audiences. But what I try to do, wherever I preach, even if it's audience that maybe I shouldn't preach so directly, I always tell them the source of my inspiration, the source of my knowledge, the source of my tools, my stories, Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. So I try to inspire them to read. And I tell them, contact me, I give you the links, or I give them the link. I have stickers, there is a link there of Vanipedia. Because our job is to connect people to Prabhupada. And if they don't understand him, we will try to explain the best we can. So people can speculate about this, but there has to be some reasonableness, some sanity about this, that let's see what is the best way, how to apply it in time, place and circumstances. And then Palana Parichiyate, we judge by results. Okay. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.